Yes. Hello? Is this the right? No, it's not. Hello. Okay. Yes. Okay. I do have my settings sorted out. Okay. Let's try that again. Good morning, everyone, to the first thing in the morning live stream. The first thing in the morning live stream of 2026. It's gonna be a fun year. I have a good feeling about it. So if this is the first time you're listening, why am I doing this? I'll tell you because I need a reminder as well. As I got up at 6:45 this morning, the bed was very warm and comfortable. And I was like, why am I getting up again to live stream? Why am I doing this? So the reason why, it's because, so over the past year, I was working full time, and now I'm semi-employed slash freelance slash self-employed. So to a certain extent, I have some things I'm still responsible for, but my overall, the sort of rhythm and structure of my day-to-day working life and just therefore my day-to-day life in general is kind of up to me to build and there's no one I'm beholden to other than myself about when I get up in the morning. And I feel in that situation, it's very easy to let yourself off the hook. So I figured, well, I'm in the sort of the habit already of getting up early on Monday and starting my week off and not sort of dragging my feet. Because I feel like, a slow start to the week, at least for me, has a cascading effect of kind of letting the potential of a week get kind of lost. So I like to start strong on a Monday. And I guess, I had a thought this morning. I was like, if I start my week doing something hard, which is getting out of bed earlier than I feel like, then it makes whatever the week throws at me seem, easy to deal with by comparison. So that's what I'm doing. And the reason why a stream, well, is because then there's a record of whether I did it or not. And I'm semi-beholden to other people. I don't think anyone would really punish me or hold my feet to the fire if I didn't show up. They'd be understanding. But it's just this idea that I said I'd be here that kind of fixes it in my head to actually show up. So that's what I'm doing. First thing in the morning, Monday morning live stream. And what I typically do is I will start with a little slideshow where I talk about something that's been on my mind, something I'm doing, something I'm trying, something I've been thinking about. Wide range of topics. So talk about that with a little bit of visual accompaniment of a slideshow, and that'll be try to aim to take about half an hour with that, but sometimes it's a little longer. And for the back half, I'm going to open up a draw pile. So if you don't know what draw pile is, it's a really cool piece of software that allows you to share a virtual canvas with other people, other fellow artists online, and you send them a link, they join the canvas, you're all drawing together like buddies, and it's really fun. I really got into using it with my friends when we were on lockdown during the COVID years. It was a way of replacing our drink and draw. So we would meet up together every week at a bar and draw together. Of course, we couldn't do that. So we found out this software, Drawpile, and it was really fun. And it ended up being kind of like a fun thing, not just as a replacement for something we couldn't have, but kind of as its own thing. Found a lot of, I really weirdly like the drawing tools in it. They're very simple, like very Microsoft Paint, and I like simplicity in the software, like not a lot of options, and it creates these limitations that I really enjoy the results of. So it's a fun software to draw in, and of course it's fun to draw with your friends. So in the back half of the streams, I'll be opening up a draw pile, and I'll sit here with some music playing and do some drawing, and I encourage you all to join with me, and we'll draw sometimes a theme. I think the last one we did was sort of centered around supercomputers, because that's what the topic was for the for the chat for the slideshow. But sometimes it'll just be freestyle, and I think today will just be a nice freestyle to ease us back into it. So before we get started, let me take a sip of coffee from my nifty Nelvana mug. Oh, I see a frog in the chat. What's up? What's up, Froggy? Art Frog. All right. I think oh, by the way, I discovered a new feature in OBS. Let's see if it is going to make this transition smoother. It should. Okay. It really, really should. Okay, here we go. Oh, hey! See, usually I shift to this and nothing's there, and I have to go back. I have to set it up and then go back into it. But I discovered that you can... Something I knew that had to be a feature. I just didn't know how to do it till this morning. You can open up what you want to open next and fiddle with it, make sure it's all working before you actually transition over to it. So, learning, having fun. That's what these Monday morning streams are all about. So welcome to the first thing in the morning live stream. We are so back. We're sleepy. Art Frog is sleepy. I am sleepy. But we're here. We're going to wake up. Slowly but surely, we're going to come to life. So here's the upcoming schedule. So I'm going to be pretty consistent, for the next month. So the next three weeks, I will be here. I will be taking a break on Family Day to have a nice family day. So no stream on February 16th. Nice long weekend there. And then I'll be back on the 23rd. And then March, some dates are still in question. So once I figure that out, I will announce those dates. Some upcoming topics you can look forward to. So these are just a few future slideshow things I've planned out, plus just things that I know I will be researching. So I find these slideshows have become a really cool way for me to not only present things, but it's become almost like a research tool for me, like a way I like help me think and collate information. So the cartoon robots one will be a result of yes, okay, my mic is still attached. I wasn't sure. So the cartoon robots one will be one that something I'm researching anyway, and I've already started putting that one together. Beginner's Guide to Ottawa International Animation Festival. This is something that I've had it's come up in conversation. A couple people have actually requested that I do something like this. I mean, specifically for them, but I thought it'd be a fun thing to make, available to anyone who cares. So I've been going to the Ottawa Animation Festival for 19 years straight at this point. And I'm a big proponent of going to the festival, especially to my fellow animators who live in Ottawa. Anyone I find out who doesn't go, I'm always really pushing them to go. And a lot of them say, a lot of people who they don't know where to. They don't know kind of what it's all about, even though they live here and they're animators. Or they go and they feel a little bit overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. So, I have a really well-honed game plan for how I get into Ottawa. And I mean, still at this point, I feel like there's things about it that I'm discovering, ways to really squeeze the most out of it. So I will talk about my experiences going to the festival and over the years, and talk about if you're going to go next year, it's a good year to go because it's the 50th anniversary. It's going to be a really good one. So that's going to be a fun event. And I'm going to be showing this a couple times because I'm going to be sort of refining it. But I'll probably be doing the first version of it in a couple weeks. And then I'm very interested right now in Matchbox games. Right now I'm teaching an assignment about a board games, and I've been like looking up stuff about board games because I'm interested in making something board game-esque. And the thing that I want to make is more similar to Matchbox games, which I didn't know that term. So that has led me to some starting an interesting little research project on that. So that'll be in the coming weeks as well. All right, disclaimer. I'm just some guy. Sorry, my throat right now. I'm just some guy with a froggy throat. If you learn something from watching these streams, then that's awesome. I'm not claiming to have all the answers. I'm just going to tell you what I'm interested in, what I've been trying. It might work for you. I don't know if it even works for me. But I feel very free to speak for myself on this one because we are going to be looking back on what I consider to be the best of a little year I like to call 2025. It was a very interesting one. A lot of stuff happened. This will by no means be able to capture everything that made 2025 such a fun and interesting year. But I'll go over a few of what were some highlights for me. So I'm going to start with favorite movie. I love movies. Movies are like probably my favorite thing. So start with movie. All right, we got two. Almost a tie. So close to a tie that I'm mentioning them both. The first one is The Phoenician Scheme, which is Wes Anderson's newest film with Benicio del Toro in an amazing role as a very unscrupulous businessman in the 1930s. I'm a sucker for Wes Anderson. I never get tired of him. A lot of people say he keeps making the same movie. I know what they mean. He uses a lot of the same motifs. He uses a lot of the same kind of character builds, I guess. And also a lot of his characters, he more and more so, especially over these movies. I will say a lot of his characters have this sort of Wes Anderson cadence. But I don't know. I think all his movies create a very unique little world unto their own, and for the most part, I love them all, and this one was no exception. I mentioned something that there's certain things that I'm always looking for in movies, and it's nothing specific, but I'm always looking for something at the start of the movie that kind of reassures me that I can just lock in and be assured that the person driving, the person I'm putting in control of my brain for the next 2 hours, knows what they're doing. And Wes Anderson is great at that. The beginnings of his movies are always great and always very much a setting of intention. And there's just subtle things he does. So I mentioned in this one, in the opening, after the opening sequence, the title sequence, there's a down shot of his bathroom while he's in the tub, kind of in the shot you see in the poster, and the same black and gray sort of borders there are on the bathroom tiles are replicated in the font of the titles overlaid on there, so they all sort of blend together. And it's such a small choice, but to me, I look at those things and go, well, if you're making that kind of choice on those things, then you're paying attention to everything, and I can just submit to what you're showing me. I won't spoil it, but the dialogue between the two main characters in the final act of the movie is one of my top 3 Wes Anderson moments, and therefore one of my favorite moments in film. I think it's just such a it's a perfect distillation of his sort of really poignancy in a very almost like stilted comedic way. Like, you know, in Rushmore, like, I saved Latin. What'd you ever do? Like these funny, revealing character story moments and these sort of offhanded bits of dialogue. And I think there's a really elevated, a very elevated version of that at the end of this movie. And a lot of his movies are like, Rushmore definitely feels like this, and Tenenbaums for sure. This one just is like a comfort movie. I don't know, something about it, like even in the more like austere environments of the guys have his mansion and stuff, there's something very cozy in it that I just like. So I like those movies where you curl up and you just like let it wash over you. You're not really like, you know, nothing feels super dramatic or too overly exciting. It's just a nice, like, even though there are things like plane crashes and shootouts and stuff, the way it's presented is almost not very much like a play, like, you know, in the way that Wes Anderson does so well, where nothing ever feels too dire. Everything kind of the sort of the ceiling for strong emotion is pretty low, and it kind of compresses everything in a way that, I don't know, makes it feel like nothing's that serious, and I like that vibe. So honorable mention to Begonia, which is Yorgos Lanthimos' newest film. This was just like, again, right from the start, locked in, and just a weird, fun ride. I feel like I was like grinning the whole movie. Keeps you guessing. It's always one step ahead of you. So I feel one thing I really appreciate in storytelling, it's a technique that I always really appeals to me, is where you're watching the characters like in the middle of a plan that you're not a part of, and you're just watching them, like, you know, buy stuff that they need and set stuff up, and they're just having conversations about other things, and it's only revealed what they're doing when they actually execute it, and the movie starts that way. And it really, like, again, locked me in. I was like, okay, cool. Right off the top, they're doing that thing I like, and I was really locked in from that point. And this movie, like, it has one of my I think I'd say my favorite ending sequence from a movie this year. Again, it was just had a huge stupid smile on my face. There's just a lot about this movie that feels almost like punkish in a way. Like, there's this feeling that the movie's messing with you, but in a way that I really feel they earn the right to do, because there's the main plot of the movie is whether or not Emma Stone's character is or isn't an alien. And so, of course, the movie has basically 2 moves ultimately at its disposal. Either Jesse Plemons' character, who's kidnapped her because he thinks she's an alien, is wrong and he's just a psycho, or he's right and she really is an alien. And though, you know, whether or not she actually is, one thing is, suspending that piece of information almost makes you think, like, well, then you'd have to suspend your disbelief for the entire, or like you'd almost have to withhold your judgment of what the movie is until the very end. But the movie, the ride it takes between those two, and like, I don't want to almost say too much because I don't want to like lean too hard on what the ending is, but the movie is, the way it is enjoyable throughout is, you're like, this is fun no matter what the answer is. Like, it works both ways, and it's just a funny movie and disturbing and weird and like all this weird cocktail of emotions. So that's why I say they earn the right to kind of mess with you, because you're not just waiting to hear the answer. Everything that's happening along the way is very engaging and entertaining. And I think a lot of movies that have a central mystery forget that. They think it almost feels like they think the mystery is enough, or like mystery and aesthetics. I find that happens a lot, where it's like, as long as it's like looks cool and has a good mood and you don't know what's going on, you'll pay attention for an hour and 30 minutes. And then even if the ending is disappointing, well, it's too late. You've watched the whole movie. And I resent that sort of version of messing with the audience. So as long as you are entertaining me throughout, you can play whatever games you want. And I just like the prankish vibe this movie sort of has. All right. Favorite album. So this was a pretty solid year for music. I had a lot of options here, but this one came in later in the year for me. I think came out in the fall, and just shot to the top of my list. And that's It's a Beautiful Place by Water From Your Eyes. This is just like no skips. It's a tight 30 minutes and it's all killer. It's one of those albums that when I started, I just like lock in right away. And then by the time it's over before I want it to be. And also it ends the same way it begins. So it's like you could just put the whole thing on loop. It's like the same weird soundscape thing that plays at the beginning and end. It's definitely one of my musical sweet spots, which is like artsy rock or pop, like stuff that's really making a lot of weird choices, but is still focused on being catchy. Kind of similar to what I was saying about Begonia. It's like you can mess with me, you can chop up things and play them backwards and forwards and jump around in the song, change it every minute. As long as everything you're doing is like catchy and memorable, like you earn the right to make it, instead of just being, I think what people have a criticism that they usually phrase as weird for weird's sake. And I think what people are, when they say that, they're saying that this person's just making a bunch of weird choices and there's not anything else to it other than the weird choices. So one thing I like is like, these people are great musicians with amazing songwriting ideas, and then they mess around with it. So I think like that, I know, beats the charges of weird for weird's sake, in my opinion. When there's like, first of all, the production on this is so cool. Like the guitar tones are amazing. Like these really like super distorted but really melodic sound, like, and rich. And not overblown guitar chords and stuff. My favorite song, This Keeps Changing, there's a real standout track. Playing Classics is like kind of the standout song from the album, and that was definitely my way in. But since then, my favorite song keeps bouncing around. I love Spaceship. Spaceship is probably the weirdest song. It's like, but once you like know its groove, it like is really satisfying to listen to. So this band is a collab between singer Rachel Brown and Nate Amos, who's the main like songwriter, who also I found out writes and records under the name This Is Lorelei. Also amazing, a little bit more conventional, straightforward, so you can kind of hear more directly just his songwriting chops. And I haven't fully explored all his stuff because I've just got locked into one of his albums from under This Is Lorelei, which I think it's called like Box for Buddy, Box for Star. Just really like good indie rock pop songwriting with like really good lyrics. It's like very memorable melodies. So highly recommend checking out both This Is Lorelei and Water From Your Eyes. Sticking with music, best concert. I had a good year for concerts, but my favorite one was Mac DeMarco in Montreal. At this point, his songwriting, his songbook is just so deep and rich. He's now. It's hard. It's funny because I still think of him as like a new guy, but yeah, no. I mean, I've been listening to him for over 10 years now. He's been around for a while, and he just has such a great catalog of songs now that really feels like just like one one of those like classic songwriters drawing on just a deep well of good work. His between song banter is just bizarre and hilarious. He's just doing weird voices and repeating nonsense, but it was cracking me up. Daryl Johns, who you can barely see behind him there, his bassist, is one of the best musicians I've seen on stage in a while. I kept being blown away by the little flourishes and embellishments he'd make with the arrangements. Just enough, to add little interesting little serifs to the riffs without over complicating or busying up the arrangements. His whole band is really great, but he really stood out. And he also has a solo album, self-titled, from late 2024. That's really great. I really love. So I recommend that. And yeah, definitely Mac DeMarco. I'd seen him before and I've liked his music for a while, but after seeing this show, he's become one of those guys where I would honestly tell anyone to go see him if they get the chance. I think his music at this point has really revealed that, like, I'm like, this is like his music is very specifically him, but I'm like, this is very broadly appealing. I feel like any no matter what kind of music you're into or like what age you are, I think you just like it would enjoy the show. I think there's very few people who would just not enjoy what he does with his live show these days. He's really mellowed out too. I think his live shows sometimes were a little bit wild at times. I've heard. I don't know. I only saw him once at Blues Fest and it wasn't crazy, but I think he's just chilled out in general as a dude. So that's come across in what he does on stage. Favorite TV show, Pluribus. If you haven't watched Pluribus, amazing. New show from the creators of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And it's very different. It's sort of a sci-fi show, but I love the way they take the genre tropes and use them to tell a more like internalized character story. So instead of being kind of preoccupied with the like hive mind, alien mind virus, where's it from, who sent it, we have to stop it, like all that kind of stuff. They just kind of like, it's like an invasion of the Body Snatchers plot that just fast forwards to the end and starts there. So it's just like the first episode, basically the world ends in the first episode. Everyone gets like consolidated into this hive mind virus. But then, so a lot of the, external forces of it are kind of like, all right, well, those things are storytelling wise are kind of irrelevant now. It's already happened. So it's more about how the main character lives in this world and how it reveals things about her as a person reflected against a super organism that represents like everybody else. But in the show, of course, it literally is everybody else as one person effectively. So a lot of this is like doing what I call like storytelling on hard mode. It's taking a lot of things that help flesh out a story world, having a big cast of characters that you can bounce around to, having obvious stakes and a goal, and kind of takes those things off the table, right? Like, so it's very limited characters, obviously, because I won't say too much more about the show, but pretty much there's only a few characters. Well, all right, I'll tell you. She's not the only. She's one of the few people who hasn't been subsumed in this hive mind. So there are a few other characters, but then every other person in the world effectively is the same character. So you don't have a lot of like minor characters to play with. They're all the same person. That becomes its own storytelling trick you have to pull off. Whenever she interacts with someone, well, that person has the same memories as the other person she interacted with because they all are connected. And then the stakes. There's no clear stakes to the show because you've really not only you've put the world at stake, and then we already got to that point. It's like they took over the world, so there's no save the world story to do. Which the racing, there's no clock to beat, and then because of that, there's no real clear external goal. It's not really clear. Okay, I guess there's can they reverse this thing? But that's very vague. It's like it's a question more than a point they're driving at. And so this show was written over the past, I think it's been 10 years in the making, but it's very prescient about the world of AI chat with AI chatbots, and the way the hive mind talks is very reminiscent of how ChatGPT talks to you. But it's more generally about the flattening effect of algorithmically driven Silicon Valley convenience culture, and how it's not a hive mind being like it is very much join us. It wants to take in all of humanity, but it's not in this sort of join us, zombie, scary, grab you, chase you around. It's it's a charm offensive. It's they want to whittle you down with kind of keep you docile and content by providing you extreme convenience. It's just everything you need is brought to you no matter what you want at the drop of a hat. So that you almost go, well, it doesn't seem that bad being a part of this. So I find it's a lot of interesting reflections of how the current way we've marketed happiness to ourselves through consumer capitalism has really flattened our emotional experience and potentially our sense of individual identity. So it's an interesting way to take that sci-fi trope and talk about those sorts of things, do a social commentary. It's actually, in a way, it's very much in the tradition of zombie movie, because zombie movies are always some sort of social commentary on different aspects of life. So moving on, go to favorite game. Not much to say here. This game is great. My favorite game of the year that I played was, I finally got around to Tears of the Kingdom, but that's an older game. If we're counting that, it's Tears of the Kingdom by a mile. Tears of the Kingdom is amazing. It was beyond video games. Was just an amazing world I loved getting lost in. But as for games that came out this year, I got around to this towards the end of the year. I'm still playing it right now. Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's just so fun to smash everything and find all the stuff. It's just simple pleasures done right. And as for usual with Donkey Kong games, the music rules. 10 out of 10. No notes. Favorite animated short was Fusion by Richard Reeves. I saw this a couple times this year. Played at Ottawa, played at Les Sommets d'Animation. I resisted the urge to go Nepo or self-promo. On this one, I could have mentioned what short I worked on or one that one of my friends made. But this one really did stick out to me. And this, it really tickled my brain in a way that only animation can. It's just pure interaction of visuals and sound, and inspired me. I'm going to be doing something this year that is inspired by these aesthetics, if not these techniques. I'd love to try these techniques. So the technique used in this film is the animate using chemicals on film to create shapes and animation directly onto the film, and then running it through to go along with a really cool sort of experimental soundtrack, and very much using the sort of jittery, energetic look that this technique has to convey the a motif of atomic particles or nuclear fusion. And yeah, I can't wait to be able to see this one again, and kind of study what's going on here more, because yeah, I really want to, like, if not try these techniques, at least replicate these aesthetics in some of my own work. And I got to meet Richard at Ottawa. Really nice guy. We had a great conversation, and yeah, he's just really well traveled, and also like does a lot of like teaching and stuff. So yeah, really cool guy. Which brings me to my next category, favorite festival, and it's got to be Ottawa. Ottawa, just we're so lucky here in Ottawa to have a world-class animation festival, one of the oldest, one of the biggest. I've been going, like I said, for 18 years straight. This one was a great year, great attendance, vibes were great, super inspired, and the weather was beautiful. I feel like this was the one that felt like we're back, since the lockdown, virtual festival years. It was a bit, slow coming back from that. But I think like last year attendance felt pretty thin. But yeah, this year was great. Packed screenings, packed parties. Everyone was having a great time. Less of a vibe of like being sad or scared about where the animation industry is at, and more excited about the opportunities to carve new paths. So yeah, just walked away with a lot of fresh ideas. And then, like I said, next year is the 50th anniversary. So I'm really excited for that one. That'll probably be even bigger, even better. And I want to put out an honorable mention. The first time I went to it this year was because the film I co-directed with Tabitha played at Les Sommets d'Animation, du Cinéma d'Animation in Montreal. So, of course, it's in Montreal. That's a huge point in its favor. Always fun to go to Montreal. Great selection. It's all Canadian films, so that was cool. And I'd say they take the top prize easily for all the festivals I've been to for sound and picture. At La Cinémathèque, just amazing presentation of all his films. Like, the sound is the perfect volume. It's like loud. It's loud enough, but doesn't sacrifice any clarity, and it's not overly loud, which can be it's a tricky thing with showing a bunch of animated films that, sometimes if they're all raised at the same volume, well, some of them at that high a volume can be very like something that has a more, I don't know. There's some films that have a very aggressive soundtrack. It's either like some scratchy noise stuff. So, I've learned from going to festivals, presentation is a delicate science. So, but this place, La Cinémathèque, world class. So I highly recommend. I'd love to go again this year, just to attend if I could, at least for a day or two, just to catch a couple screenings. Because yeah, it's just good vibe. Really feels like they're honoring and respecting the filmmaking. Not a lot of bells and whistles. Okay, well now I'm gonna go a little self promo, a little nepo with my favorite podcast. But it's true. My favorite podcast is the podcast I'm doing with Tab, the most fun podcast. I'd really just been reflecting on this because so the way we make this podcast is we record a bunch of conversations we did a few at the festival, but we record throughout the year, and then we edit and compile and release them as podcast episodes. And it's been really fun to do, but I also found like I'm gonna, for partially to sort of get ahead of the work, but also just for my own entertainment, I'm gonna load some of these raw audio files onto my phone, so as I'm going about my day, I can just like listen to some of them and sort of think about where the story is and how we're gonna edit them later. But as I'm listening to them, I'm like, this is so good. I'm just like, as if this is like my podcast. I love this. It's really satisfying what I've been wanting out of animation podcasts. I think there's some really good animation podcasts, but there's a lot of territory to carve out, to do different things. And I feel like comedy podcasts are very comfortable in this space. To like, comedians go on comedy podcasts, but they don't just talk about, sure, they talk about comedy and they talk about the art of comedy, they talk about the business, but they just talk about a wide range of topics and have deep conversations about different things. And they're interesting people because, they think about life a lot for the sake of their art form. And I think animators are also an interesting breed that have an interesting perspective on the world and a lot to say. So it's just really, really cool. I always love talking to animators, and what's interesting about animators as a specific type is that animators have a specific way of looking at things, but they all have different. They have different, for lack of a better term, special interests, but they apply that same intensity to that same style of intensity. So, it's always just very fascinating to scratch on the surface of like, yeah, we both animate and we love talking about that, but what else are you into? What else are you, what are your other preoccupations? And at the festival, we were able to get a few guests that I was really excited to talk to. And looking back on, I was like, I researched what kind of interviews they'd done before, and I found a lot of people that I wanted to talk to really hadn't gone on the record all that much. Like, no one's really interviewing animators that much sometimes, and it feels like. So a couple of these I was listening to, I was like, this is great, and this is kind of like the only real deep interview this person's done. So feel very excited that podcast just happens to be the one I'm doing with Dab. So look forward to hearing more of that. So the first 2 episodes are out now. You can check it out at patreon.com/mostfunpodcast. Our next guest is going to be Dennis Moran, talking about how his synesthesia influences his artistic practice. So that one's really cool because he has a lot of different systems and ways of approaching his art that incorporate how different colors and shapes and even personalities and sort of blend together in his mind that sort of overlap, and how those connections inform the art he creates, and even how the systems of how he approaches making art and how he sees his life. Very cool. Very fun episode. All right. Getting to best meal. This was cream corn at Billy Jean Fin. Again, in Montreal. Montreal, best food. Go figure. My favorite meal would be from here. Ate a lot of good food this year, but this one popped up in my head immediately. It's cream corn, which doesn't seem that fancy or that special, but this was just like, it was like a corn soup. It was like a corn puree with bits of corn in it, diced up cashews, and all these like great flavors. And then it had like these croutons that were like brioche or something. They were really amazing croutons. And then a duck egg in the middle with grated cheese on top. It was just insanely good. I want it right now. I'm getting very faim right now myself thinking about this. It was just like comfort food, but just elevated just a bit, that it was still like had that hearty, rich, grounding feeling of like just home cooking, but with enough going on that it was also just like exciting. Every bite was exciting. I wish Ottawa had this as well. I would probably eat it all the time. So if you're ever having brunch in Montreal, check out Billy Géfin. All right, my favorite dog this year, Maggie. Again, it's Maggie. It's been Maggie for many years running. Maggie is one of my mom and dad's dogs, and I just love this girl. Excellent cuddle buddy, and of course she's always excited to see me. And you can pick her up and hold her like a teddy bear, and she just goes limp in your arms, and you can carry her around, and who doesn't love that? So congratulations, Maggie, on the win. All right, favorite dog. Now we have favorite cat. I'd say I'm neither a dog nor a cat person. I'm equal opportunity. I love both. I love all the creatures. So favorite cat this year, first year winning it, Olaf. Also a great cuddle buddy. Loves to get between your legs when you're out lying on the couch and just squeeze in there. He's handsome. He's dignified. Looks great in a bow tie. What more could you want from a cat? Congratulations, Olaf. You earned it. All right. Best new mug. We already saw it this morning. It is the Nelvana mug. So we have this beautiful, it's a perfect animation mug because it has all these, it animates. If you moved it fast enough, you'd see this bear lifting its leg, kind of like in the Nelvana logo animation. It's nice and big. It's got a bowl shape. I like that about it. And yeah, every time I drink from it, it's like a little tribute to the legacy of Canadian animation of a Canadian animation institution. I guess gone, but not forgotten. Cheers to Nelvana. All right. Best movie theater carpet. And that one goes to this year, the Plaza Theater in Atlanta, with its tastefully zany, this kind of looks like a Cosby sweater kind of vibe. Really, I just like this. The patterns are great, of course, but it's the color scheme, I feel like, really sets it apart. So I really enjoyed this one. Last year, I just wanted to bring up last year's winner because you can see there's a lot of range in what you can do with a movie theater carpet. This one's more of a weird circuit board thing. This is from the Vaughn Cineplex, the one that looks like a giant spaceship. And still love that carpet, so I wanted to revisit that one. All right, best gun. The next one is for best gun of the year. This is the best gun I saw or used throughout the year, and that would be the bubblegum gun from one of the en routes. I forget which en route this was at, but at one of those stops along the highway, they have these convenience stores, and they have this great thing that's like a little mini super soaker with bubble gum in the chamber, but it doesn't shoot out the gum. But it's in there. It looks like it should shoot out of there, but the gumballs are too big to come out the front. In fact, I don't even know how this thing does work, but I like it. So it wins Gun of the Year. All right, and we're going to wrap things up now with Best Day of 2025. And that would be, it's the grand prize. What was the best day of 2025? August 1st, the day I met the bubblegum gun. Just kidding. Of course, best day of the year is May 7th, the animation show and tell, Ottawa 3. This is a great event that I run here in Ottawa, an animation showcase where we show the latest and greatest from Ottawa's animators, and it just gets better every year. This was the third time we did it, and it's cool because at this point, it really just, it feels like it runs itself. Everyone kind of knows what it is. Everyone knows what we're doing. I know what I'm doing. I have good trust with, a relationship now with the Mayfair. So it just runs very smoothly, which is great because that lets everyone just enjoy themselves and enjoy each other's work. And the enthusiasm people bring to the table is just crazy. So we sold out the second year. The third year we sold out in less than 24 hours. So people really look forward to this. They bring their A game to their submissions, and they bring almost like sports event like level of enthusiasm to how they cheer on their friends and their friends' work. And I'm really excited to do it again this year for Animation Show and Tell number 4, again on May 7th, 7:30 at the Mayfair. And if you are Ottawa based, submissions are open now. We are accepting submissions from anyone from anywhere, but it is a local showcase, so we highly prioritize local artists. But yeah, and of course, come and anyone's welcome to join for the show itself. Tickets will go on sale in April. Yeah, so that's it. That was 2025. I'm ready for 2026. I got my Maud Lewis calendar hanging over. I think it's just out of view. Yeah, it's like right here. So yeah, I'm ready to move forward into 2026 with the spirit of Maud Lewis as my guide day to day. And that's it. That's my 2025, everyone. Okay, so we got about half an hour left. Oh, excuse me. Still clear in my throat. But I'm going to get the draw pile set up here in the background. And here, I'm just going to move this because I'm not going to be talking quite as much. Art Frog, your mom loves Maud Lewis. Oh, and Elisa is excited for show and tell. So am I. Yeah, Maud Lewis is great. Yeah, her art is super charming. Let's see. File. That's what I'm looking for. Canvas background. All right. All right, so I'm posting the invite link in the chat for the draw pile here. Oh, can I not post it? Okay, there we go. Right, we can get a little background music going. And yeah, feel free to join me and draw for the next half hour. Oh, you're in Ecuador. Okay. Fair enough. Can't draw with us this week, but hopefully you'll join us in the future and draw with us again. Thanks for joining the stream from Ecuador. Good morning, Jason. We will be drawing in Draw a Pile for the next half hour, if you feel like joining. I'm just drawing some flowers right now. Some little warm-up flowers. Just watching as you deal with Apple BS. Oh, it sounds annoying, but yeah. Welcome just to be soothed by these beautiful little flowers I'm drawing. Hopefully they make the Apple BS a little bit more bearable. Sometimes Monday morning is offers you a bit of a challenge to kind of see if you're ready for the week. But hopefully if you deal with the Apple BS now, then the rest of the week will just be a joke. Man, I'm still hungry after I guess my breakfast wasn't enough. I have to go second breakfast after this. What's everyone's go-to breakfast order these days? For myself, I'm doing frozen berries. I'll heat those up a little bit. Throw some yogurt on there, some just vanilla yogurt, Greek yogurt. And then I'll put some toppings on that, some granola or some nuts or some combination of those two. And usually that's enough for me to start my day, but I don't know, I find I've been a hungry boy lately. So I might need to add extra elements to that. English muffin sandwich, that's another good one. I've been having a lot of English muffins lately. Not so much sandwich, I'll just kind of have it with a bit of butter or maybe a bit of cheese or a little avocado on there. Avocado and a bagel, also a strong choice. I think I just might need a little bit more carbo loading in the morning. Or maybe some protein. Not sure. I'll experiment with it. I'd have eggs, but I usually have eggs at lunch. And as much as I like eggs, you don't want too much of a good thing. Okay, another question. Speaking of egg McMuffin or whatever, McMuffin sandwich. What's the best fast food breakfast? Because I had a Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich the other day. They've upped their game. They used to do like that little egg cake thing, that like spongy egg cake, but now it seems like they're using actual eggs in the sandwich, and I don't know, man, it's given the Egg McMuffin a real strong challenger, in my opinion. PP the Fury, Patrick Paradis. It's 8 o'clock. It is, well, 8 o'clock is when we start, yes. First thing in the morning, before we've even started the work day, we're here. Oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention. So there was that. I was trying to figure out whether I'd be able to continue doing these, right, because of my school schedule. But I got the ideal setup, which is my teaching day starts at noon, and it goes till 6:30. So on Mondays. So perfect. I can start my day off early, get this done, and then have a good amount of time to get ready and leisurely make my way over to the college to teach. So yeah, Mondays are, it's gonna be a good productive start to the week. I'll do this, do some drawing, do some chatting with y'all, have a nice walk over to school, do my teaching, and then my plan is to grab a little bit of dinner after teaching and go straight to the gym, get a nice workout in. Those are my Mondays, done and dusted. BLT, yeah, BLT is a great option for sure. But yeah, you gotta be careful with the bacon. I can't have bacon every morning is the thing. I like to find a good breakfast order that I can just kind of rock every day. Farmer's Wrap at Timmy's, that one's good. That's the one where they put a hash brown in it, I think. Sausage Egg McMuffin is OG go-to breakfast. Yeah, sausage McMuffin is good. I like the Egg McMuffin with the ham, but I like the sausage on its own. You know, there's the one where you can just have the sausage and cheese. That one's good, underrated, and cheap. What am I teaching? I'm teaching a course that the name is kind of misleading for. But I'm teaching basically illustration and concept art, but I'm teaching these assignments that are geared to be like potential design and illustration assignments you would get from a client. So the one we're doing right now is like a board game assignment. So they have to work within templates and either match some sort of house style, or in this case for this assignment, use their own style to design the assets for a board game that they come up with. So really fun class. I was mentioning board games earlier because prepping for this assignment got me interested in board games myself, and I thought, oh, maybe, because I was thinking that, you know, trying to give them the idea that this board game should be something that kind of sells either, if not their own characters or story world or ideas, that it should be a branding for their style at the very least. So it got me thinking about, you know, potentially doing that for myself, and that led me to the idea of, you know, maybe not making a full board game that I'm gonna, you know, because that's expensive and a lot of work to get all those things printed, but a sort of more bite-sized version of that, almost like a zine version of a board game. So it's gonna be I'll probably talk about it as I'm working on it in future streams. Right now I'm just sort of coming up with a basic idea, but the goal of it is it's something that you can tuck in your notebook or your sketchbook, and it's a game you can play by yourself or with other people that sort of encourages you, gives you prompts, or generates a way of thinking that will get you either talking with other people, or if you're doing it by yourself, have stuff to draw or write about. Pat says McD's is the best. I forget who it is, but someone has like a maple soaked bun or something. That's at McDonald's too. That one's great. The McGriddle. Very, very tasty, very indulgent breakfast sandwich. Are you going to tell the class to join you every Monday morning at 8? My hope is that none of my students stumble across this. Not because it's a big problem, but I like the idea of not having to consider that my students would be in the audience, even though they very well might find the stream, and not much I can do about that. It's not a secret. It's funny. already had like not even finished my first class midway through. At the break, I check my phone and I've already got one of them following me on Instagram. So there's only so much you can keep the worlds separated. But I'm definitely not going to be telling them to join the stream. But yeah, it's fun to be teaching again. I taught 1 year many years ago, almost 10 years ago, which is really insane to think about. It doesn't seem right, but I guess I forgot that it was not that long after I graduated that I went back to the college to teach for a year. I'd maybe been working for 3 or 4 years or so. But anyway, yeah, so I taught then, and I enjoyed teaching for sure. I found it very fun and rewarding, but I also I got burnt out doing it, not because of the teaching on its own, but because I was working full time. I was at that time making comics. I was making a comic every week and then teaching. And then when I was teaching, I was hyperextending myself, trying to be like the best teacher of all time, which to me meant just being accessible 24/7 to answer emails and do complicated drawovers and emails, and just giving way too much of my free time to the job, and just didn't realize how much I was spinning plates and getting stressed out doing that until the end of the year. And then also at the end of the year, I realized, I'm doing way more than I have to or than I should. And a lot of the stuff that I was doing that was overextending myself was not really giving, like, it wasn't even giving the results of being a better teacher necessarily. It was, anyway, I learned a lot just about how to be effective, and part of being effective is being very calculated about how much of your time you give and when and where is just as important. It's not the amount. It's like, well, it is the amount, and actually, like, sometimes like less is more with teaching, I found, and just preserving your energy so that when you do give, you're giving your best. So I learned that all, but by the time I ended that year, I was just like, I need to just downsize the amount of stuff I'm doing just for my own health. So I didn't go back the next year. And I didn't do anything resembling teaching really until more recently, again, when I would do guest lectures, I guess, or what do you call them? Workshops from time to time. And then I did a little bit more mentoring, I guess, and teaching over the summer, and really started to remember what I liked about it, and seeing that like burgeoning potential in young people as they like kind of discover their ideas, and just the how exciting that is to see, especially as someone now who's been working for 10 plus years, to like be reminded of that part of your life, or that part of your artistic journey, and help other people as they're starting theirs. Remind me what was like so rewarding about teaching. And then at the same time, this opportunity came up. So I like doing it, and I feel like this time I'm going to be able to do it in a way that's more balanced with my other responsibilities and priorities. In the immortal words of Sarah Lynn from BoJack Horseman, "That's too much, man." Yeah. Yeah, sometimes, I don't know, giving your best is about isn't always about giving it all. Is what I've learned. This is what I have learned. Drawings and bugs. Little bug boys. Yeah, I'm really excited for this year's animation show and tell. I think it's there's going to be some cool outcomes of really demonstrating how much a part of Ottawa's cultural scene is animation. Without it really being, recognized in the larger, in the mind of the public. It's still kind of a for us, by us situation, but I see that changing soon, and I think just really making it visible through this yearly event. And I think it's something you plug away at it for a few years in a row. Eventually, other people start paying attention. It's interesting though. I think it's part of the issue is just a thing about the Canadian mentality in general. I really feel, maybe it's because I'm from Ottawa that I notice it specifically in Ottawa, but we're not great at like bragging about our, or even just letting people know what we're doing and why it's cool, why it's interesting. I find like one recent example, and maybe this will change, but right now, like the library that's being built in Ottawa, I feel like a lot of people don't know how cool this thing is going to be, and I feel like once it's open, people will be hyped. But I don't know, I'm just interested that like at this point, it's pretty far along in the construction. I feel like it's gonna be ready to open probably later this year, and a lot of people still don't know about it. And I find that's true with a lot of political initiatives, a lot of things that it's weird because like the province or federally or even municipally, like a lot of time and money will go into something, but then I don't know, it's like it's hard to access the information. It's I guess it's like an advertising issue, but it's definitely true of animation. Anyone I know who works in animation in Ottawa remarks upon this, that there's so much animation work here, and there has been for decades. But it's a surprise to anyone who's not in the industry. It's always, I didn't know that was made here. I didn't know they did that kind of stuff here. I thought that was all done in Toronto. Toronto is sort of better known as the media capital, and Toronto does a pretty good idea of celebrating itself more so. But we could definitely stand to have more of that in Ottawa animation. What's fun about drawing bugs? I don't know. I guess simple shapes. You can break them down pretty simply, and they're recognizable as bugs, so you can draw a lot of them. I like drawing with simple shapes. If it keeps selling out of tickets, he's talking about the show, and this is Patrick talking about the show and tell, to just the working staff of the local studios, do you think it has room to grow? So that's a good question. I think what I'm referring to about more opportunities in the public getting to know more about it is not about the show and tell itself. I think the show and tell is, I think, by its kind of nature and its makeup, gonna remain a little bit of a for us, by us, celebrating our own work. The way it's gonna grow beyond is with different, like more events, more and maybe stuff like show and tell, but also stuff that's different in different ways, like different ways of presenting the work, different venues. Like one thing I'd like to see more of is like not just screenings, but all sorts of like arts and culture events that aren't in the downtown area, like in smaller neighborhoods at like community centers and stuff. But I think the sort of critical mass that's created by everyone really banding together in one place and supporting each other demonstrates the potential of what's there, and then aiming it outward doesn't come from, oh, let's expand the show and tell so that like we can fill all these seats with our fellow artists and then still have a bunch of seats more for just general public. I think it's just you do more and more events across the calendar year and have them in different places and have them presented in different ways and have them geared towards, you market them differently. Like, you know, for example, maybe you do one where you do it at a community center and you market it as like, oh, bring your kids so they can like learn from like a real animator about like what animation is like, and that animator could screen their work but then talk about their process in a way that's more for kids. Or you could do things where it's like there's this a night where kind of like what Peak does, like that sort of mentality. Peak is like an Ottawa culture event where they have different cultural sectors and different avenues. So they'll have like, you know, a book release at the same event as, you know, like a synth pop duo will play a show, and there'll be like some art there as well. And so it's like you can go to one place and see multiple things. So I think it'd be cool to have animation sit alongside other art forms so that there's discovery in that way. So it's like right now it's like not only is it just art for artists, it's like really animators looking at other animators' art. It'd be cool if like, you know, you brought together musicians and animators, because then there's also the potential of cross-pollination. You know, animators can work with musicians to make their music videos. Fine artists maybe can work with animators to make some cool art installation thing, bring different ideas to each other's mediums. Are you thinking of pushing the content beyond the single night's event? And the answer is no. And I think the main reason for that for me is because making it a multi-night event multiplies the complexity of it for a couple of different reasons. It's not just additive. It's not just, it's not just times two, because then the problem becomes, like if it's 2 nights, then is the second night a rerun? You know, like, and people want to go on they want to go on the first night, or they get tickets to the second night, but then they want to switch for the first night. It creates a bunch of new potential problems to look out for. I love the simplicity of having it one night. I love the aspect of it that I'm not wondering if it's going to sell out. The only thing I'm wondering about is how fast. So that means it's great to run an event and you know how many tickets you're going to sell. You just know there's 300 and they're going to all be sold. I feel like having some of those like locked values, I'm like, I personally, just for because I don't want to become like, I don't want the event planning part of it to take up too much of my time. And right now it's simple enough that it doesn't. And also if it's, the other option is to have it at a different venue, so you can sell more tickets, more people can go. Well, then it wouldn't be at the Mayfair. And to me, one part of what I like about it is that it is I like the Mayfair. And having had it there for a couple of years, there's like there's a relationship and a level of trust, and there's a lot of benefits to that. To just it makes a lot of things smoother with running the event. Everyone kind of knows what they're doing and knows what to expect, so that you can just make instead of doing these things that change what it is, you can improve it by just making it like just smoother and better in little ways every year. And I think running the different experiments in terms of, oh, what if we did a multi-day event? What if we did a bigger event? My hope is that, first of all, someone else does that, not me. And it's not called animation show and tell. It's, it's called, the big multi-day animation event thing, whatever. And that's given its own cool title. Like, it's called like Frog Pond, an animation event. And then because I also love the idea that you're not waiting a full calendar year to show your animation, like, what if you didn't get something done for show and tell, but it's done a month later? Do you wait a full year to show it? Like, it's the only opportunity to show it other than outside of, like, it's the only way to show it to, like, locally to your peers, and like then you got to submit it to festivals. I would just love if there were just multiple, like the same way that if you're a band and you write a bunch of songs, you're not waiting a year to play your songs. Like, there's gigs every week. Now, of course, there's not going to be animation screenings every week. I mean, I would personally love that if there was enough enthusiasm and interest to support as much animation as there is concerts, and like that there was like repeat screenings of local animation that people were interested enough to support it happening literally every week. We can start small and just have a few more populated throughout the year. And then I think that there's that rising tide raises all boats. And then you'd have stuff that could potentially be more geared towards engaging with the public because it's built from the ground up with that part of it in mind. Whereas show and tell, really, like, the inception of it was like, let's rent the theater and bring our friends and watch our animation together. That is like the seed of it. And I think what's grown from that is, the tree that grows from that seed, which is that it's just expanded beyond maybe the people in my immediate circle, but still it's like my extended animation friends and family and their friends and family. But it has that tight knit, like, it still has the vibe of let's rent a theater and hang out together. And it's just become the best version of that. So I don't want that to change, but I do want to see more different stuff. All right. We're just past 9:30, so I'm going to wrap it up. We have a nice this is a good little cohesive scene. I like this that we've created. Thank you, Art Frog, for matching my energy here. Even with this, you made a sort of more geometric shaped frog, which I appreciate. It blends with the energy I've been putting down. And yeah, thanks everyone for joining the stream and hanging out. I'll be back next week, same time. All right. Later.